You should go, Bridgett said, pulling her lips away from her boyfriend's mouth. Chris drew her closer. She pressed her hand against his chest. She inhaled and smelled the sweet scent of fresh-cut grass, mixed with sweat from working all day in the summer heat. As he wrapped his strong tan arms around her waist, she wished he could stay. I mean it. If Paul or Emily check the security camera and see your truck still parked in their driveway after dark, we'll both get fired. Chris looked out the window at the darkening sky before turning back to Bridgett. The 4th of July fireworks had already begun. Bridgett watched the explosions of color in the distance over Lake Washington. 5 more minutes. He tucked Bridget's straight blonde hair behind her shoulder and brought his mouth down to hers. She slowly moved her palm down his chest as she allowed his tongue to re-enter her mouth. A cool breeze blew in through the open French doors that led to the expansive landscaped grounds of the Cooper Seaward Park waterfront mansion. She felt Chris's hand move down the side of her cut-off shorts. The back of the leather couch felt cold against her bare legs as Chris pressed her body against it. It took nearly all her willpower to tear herself away from his arms. It's dark out. You really have to go. She took her boyfriend's hand and led him out the French doors. He didn't normally work on a holiday, but their employer, Emily, was hosting an extravagant gala tomorrow night at their home. She wanted the grounds to be perfect. Bridgett looked into his brown eyes as they stood on the well-lit second-story deck. Paul and Emily were very clear when they hired me to watch Leo. No boyfriends over. Ever. And I can't afford to lose this job. She'd been compensated more than generously by the retired actor and his much younger wife for watching their 18-month-old son for the summer. And she could use all the money she could get before starting dental school that fall at the University of Washington. I'll see you tomorrow, Bridgett said, letting go of his hand. Chris leaned down and kissed her softly one last time, making her want to invite him back inside. She watched him walk to the end of the deck. He stopped at the top of the stairs that led to the backyard and turned to face her. Remember to turn the security alarm back on, he said, before disappearing down the steps. She smiled at his protectiveness and went inside. She locked the French door behind her. She moved through the English Tudor-style mansion to reset the alarm, but stopped when she heard her phone chime atop the kitchen island. She doubted it was Emily. Emily never bothered to check on her child while Bridgett watched him. Paul, however, would sometimes call or text to check on his son. She lifted her phone and saw it was a text from Chris. Miss you already. She grinned. They'd met a month before, in early June. Chris had been doing landscape work on the rear of the property near where she'd taken Leo to play. She tried not to check him out while he worked, but she couldn't ignore the way his muscles bulged out of his t-shirt. He looked up and caught her stare and smiled. She couldn't help but smile back. That night, they left the Coopers at the same time. He stopped her as she was getting into her car and asked her out. They'd spent practically every spare moment together since. So far, their relationship had been everything a summer fling ought to be, if not more. She started to text a reply when she heard a noise coming from upstairs, a noise that couldn't have come from a sleeping baby. It sounded like a door closing. Her fingers stilled, and she looked toward the ceiling. But that couldn't have been what she'd heard. Other than sleeping Leo, she was alone in the house. She jumped as her phone's cheerful ringtone filled the silent kitchen. Seeing the name on the caller ID, she exhaled. Dad. She lifted the phone to her ear. Hi, Dad. Hi, sweetheart. Sorry I missed your call earlier. My phone's been going in and out of service on the cruise. We just docked in Ketchikan, so I should have service until we leave tomorrow. Bridgett returned her gaze to the ceiling. She hadn't heard any more movement coming from the floor above. You okay? Her dad asked. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm nannying for the Coopers, and I just heard a noise upstairs that sounded like a door closing. But Leo's asleep, and there's no one else here. At least there shouldn't be.